learn about one of the horrible sins that are haunting us up until today, of the sin of the spies, of course. And we want to understand what was going on there. And unfortunately, there are a few sins that up until today we're paying for. The golden calf, and one of them is the spies, but we have to understand what was going on there. So, before we start, just a story about a certain individual that about 150 years ago, the situation here in Israel wasn't so great for the Jews. I mean, there were always Jews living here in Israel. And about 150 years ago, maybe even more, it was a very hard time. And they decided to send a certain individual out of the country to collect money. And this individual, he came to a city in Lita. The city was called Velozhin. And he came to one of the heads of the yeshivas there, a very, very dominating rabbi, Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Yehuda, the Rosh Yeshiva of Velozhin. And he came to him, and of course he accepted him with open hands. Ooh, a messenger from Eretz Israel, from the Holy Land. And they're talking, and he tells him, no, so what's going on in our Holy Land? He tells him, well, the situation is not that great actually. There's hunger and there's poverty, and he goes on and on and on. He tells him how bad the situation in Israel is. At some point he tells him, Shah already, stop already. What do you mean Shah? He says, stop talking Lashon Hara about Israel already. He tells him, listen, I'm not talking Lashon Hara about Israel. Everything that I said is truth, is emet. So he tells him, you know what? Sometimes when you love, you don't have to say the truth. And this is very common, where you see that? With mothers when they're talking about their kids. Their kid can be the menace, the troublemaker of the kindergarten. No, my kid, he's so good-hearted. And up until today, my mom says, oh, you were such a nice kid. No, I wasn't. I wasn't a nice kid. I was a troublemaker. So you see, mothers, they can say the truth. They love the child. He can be the biggest troublemaker of the class, but the mother will always say, no, he's such a good kid. So we see here that the spies were talking Lashon Hara about Eretz Israel. And up until today, you'll go to different places in the world and you'll see the people talking Lashon Hara about Israel. You'll go to many people outside of Israel and tell them, why don't you move to Eretz Israel? Oh, no, it's very hard there. It's a war zone. It's very dangerous there. And there's no jobs. And why are you talking that? Why are you saying that? So people also up until today, they talk Lashon Hara about Eretz Israel. And the same thing the spies. We're talking Lashon Hara about Eretz Israel. But nevertheless, let's start a little bit explaining the essence of the parasha, so we can see how we can learn something from that. This is the point of the class, is to see what I can derive from what the parasha is teaching me. So first of all, this is the parasha that it's talking about the land of Israel. And just imagine what was going on there, all the excitement. They're going out of Mitzrayim after years, hundreds of years they're in Mitzrayim. Nobody was in Israel since Yaakov left. And they have a dream. Wow, our forefather Yaakov, he came from there. And this build-up, and Moshe Rabbeinu takes them out of Mitzrayim. He tells them, I'm taking you back to the land of Israel. Just imagine the excitement. And in 1 second, all this excitement and all this dream blows up in 1 second, all because of these spies. Now, of course, after the whole scene, the spies come back, and Hashem gets upset and says, that's it. You're not going into Israel. And of course, Moshe Rabbeinu starts the pleading, please, no, how, who, we. And the Hashem says, no, they're not going into Eretz Israel. Finally, Moshe Rabbeinu is able to a little bit soften Hashem's heart. So Hashem says, okay, so just this generation will not go into the land of Israel. Only the next generation will go in. And now you're going to be in the desert for 40 years. So, now comes a question, that this is the question that comes up every year. What caused these spies to come and talk bad about Israel? I mean, after all, they were the heads, so to say, the elite of the tribes. There wasn't some random people. What causes these men to come back and say, I don't want to go into the land? What was the part that scared them? A few giants? They came and said that they saw giants. That's what's scaring you? A few giants? What, are you making a joke here? You just saw God crushing Egypt. You just saw a whole year of plagues crossing through the ocean. The giving of the Torah, you saw the Torah coming down on Hashem coming on Har Sinai. This is your problem, a few giants? That's what caused you to turn your tail between your legs and to run back? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. Has to be something there. And this is what we're going to try to find out so we can see how it's affecting me and what I can take from that. So first we have to understand what happened there. The scene, the whole scenario happened 13 months after they will go out of Mitzrayim. They go out of Mitzrayim in Nisan. The whole first year they're in the desert. A year later they get the Torah. Right after that they get the Torah. And a year later they celebrate the first Pesach. That's what we learned last week. If you remember, came the first anniversary was the first time to celebrate Pesach. Last week we learned about the few people who came to Moshe Rabbeinu and says, what about us? We're not pure. We can't do Pesach. No problem, I have a solution for you. Come back in a month, you'll do Pesach Sheni. Okay, now it goes in the order. Now comes the month of Sivan. Everybody's parked next to Eretz Israel. They're all ready, all excited. They finish Pesach, now let's go into the land. All this is happening 13 months after going out of Egypt. It was the end of the month of Nisan. Now what was going on this whole year? The whole 13 months. They're living in a miracle. Man is coming from the sky. They're not worrying about food. Their clothes are being washed and ironed as they're wearing it. Can you imagine this sight? That you're just sitting there and wow, you missed a spot here. So now one of my kids, they make us dirt, put food on my sleeve, and now I have to take this to the dry clean and take my jacket off. Just imagine, you press the clean button, and you clean. More than that, they have water, they go to Be'er Miriam, they just fill it up. They don't have to buy waters from Mei Eden and Eviot, or how do you call it, Poland Springs. Water is free. There's no Peleg Galil bill, no water bills. Not only that, their protection, the cloud is protecting them. They're living in a miracle. A whole year, their life is a miracle. Food comes to them free. They don't have to do anything, no bills, no mortgage, no rent, no nothing. So what's going on there? What caused this scare that suddenly everything changed? Now, the core here, what we need to understand here is the fear that they had, we have it. We have a certain fear, this uncertainty, and we all have it deep in our heart. We have to find out what it is and how to deal with it. Now,
you mean the distress?
Excuse me?
You mean that this doubt, you mean the distress of Hashem?
Wait, we're going to find out what's this fear that they had and that we also have. Now, again, just to, go back in history, a year passes from the going out of Egypt. Moshe Rabbeinu is building everybody up. They're all standing there. They're parked exactly 11 days of walking distance from Eretz Israel. And they're ready. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, get it, you ready? Yalla, let's pack our bags. We're going in. Get the babies, get everybody ready. Just imagine the excitement. Suddenly comes somebody and says to Moshe Rabbeinu, listen, since we're going to conquer the land based on nature, as they say, al pi teva, we're going to conquer the land. We have to go in, there's going to be a war. Shouldn't we prepare our moves also based on nature? Well, we're just going to go blindly? Moshe Rabbeinu says, I have full confidence in Hashem. I don't think we need to plan any strategy here. And the advisors say, listen, I think we should maybe at least scout the land. Okay, so Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, let me ask the boss. Moshe Rabbeinu turns to Hashem, tells him, do we need to send spies? Hashem says, you do whatever you want. I'm not telling you to send, I'm not telling you not to send, you do whatever you want. That's why it says, Shlach lecha anashim. You decide. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to please everybody, so he says, okay, fine, get me some men, we're going to send them in. And what I want you to get from me is three things. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling the spies. I want you to find out the quality of the land, of the soil. I want to see how good the soil is. So if it will be easy to plant, not easy to plant. The second thing that I need you to find out is if the cities are walled. And if they're walled, then we're going to need a lot of explosive, of course, to blow up all the walls. Or some type of a method. Or they're just, no fences, no walls, if we can just walk in. And the third thing I want you to find out for me is about the people themselves. Are there brave warriors that we're going to need to prepare here a strong army? Or are there like cowards and they're just going to see us coming in and they're just going to run away? These are the three things that Moshe Rabbeinu told them. You're already going? Fine, that's what I want to know. And right before they start the journey, Moshe Rabbeinu calls one of his, he calls his servant, Yoshua bin Nun. He tells him, listen, I need you to go in there to supervise, to see what's going on. Please go with them. And to make sure that he's safe, Moshe Rabbeinu adds a letter to the name of Yoshua. His name was Hoshea. And Moshe Rabbeinu gives him a Yud, and he tells him, now your name will be Yehoshua, and this is for Hashem to protect you. You're going to need protection. Moshe Rabbeinu already sees that there's going to be some trouble here. Now comes the question, why Yud? Why didn't you add to him a Daled, or a Mem, or a Vav? What's the significance of a Yud? Then this Yud belonged to Sarah before her name was changed. Her name was Sarai. Now her name was changed, the Yud was removed, Hashem gave her a Hey, now the Yud was just unemployed. It was just waiting, what am I going to do now? So the Yud was taken by Moshe Rabbeinu from the Sarai, the Yud of Sarah, and gave it to Yoshua. That's the yet where the Yud came from. Especially Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to give the Yud to Yoshua, that he will have the Yud and the K in his name. And he actually completed the Yud, a Hey, and a Vav in his name. Almost the full name of Hashem's name, Yud Ke Vav Ke. But nevertheless, that's where the Yud came from. Comes a big question here to Moshe Rabbeinu. This is what the commentary asks. If Moshe Rabbeinu, you are so afraid for Yoshua that you gave him an extra letter and you said Hashem should protect you. If you're so afraid, why are you sending the spies to start with? If you think everything is fine, then send them. But if you're already coming quietly to Yoshua and telling him, listen, here's a Yud, and Hashem should bless you, Hashem should protect you, and I want you to be safe, then obviously you know there's going to be something going on there. So why are you sending the spies? Just tell them, no, you're not going. Obviously, Moshe Rabbeinu, he had a scare, but it wasn't based on anything. He just had a hunch. He didn't feel something, but he didn't know how to present it, not to cause any problems. He says, okay, fine, go. But since he had a bad feeling, he told Yoshua, I'm giving you an extra protection. Now comes another question, because the Torah didn't call them spies. The Torah calls them tourists. And there's a very big difference between spies and tourists. How do we know that the spy calls them tourists? Because it says, V'yaturu et haaretz. Yaturu, I know it sounds very similar to tourist, but a tourist in Hebrew is tayar. And latur is somebody who tours the land. So the Torah doesn't call them spies, it calls them tourists. And again, how do you know it? Because it says veyaturu. Veyaturu means they went on a tour. That's what tourists do. But nevertheless, Moshe is the one who called them spies. And he went to Yeshua and told them, listen, these are spies. They're not tourists. They're not going in there to see the Eiffel Tower and whatever it is. They're going to spy the land. They have an agenda here. Just be careful. And the difference between a tourist and a spy, a tourist goes to see the virtues of the place. When you go on a tour, you're not going, if you go now to Paris, you go to see the Eiffel Tower, the palace, whatever it is. You're not going to see the dumpsters. You're not going to see the the weaknesses of the city. You want to see the beautiful things. Wherever you go, I'm just throwing Paris. Wherever you go, you're going to the tourist attractions. You're going to the beautiful place, to the virtues of the city. You're not going to see the weakness and the disgusting. Nobody goes to New York and says, "Hey, can you take me to the slums, please?" No, take me to the Empire State Building. Nobody comes and says, "Can you tell me where they dump the garbage? I want to see where they dump the garbage of New York." So, specifically with New York, everything is garbage. So, but this is not a good example. But nevertheless, when a person is a tourist, he wants to see the good part, the positive part, the virtues of the place. And a spy is looking for the weaknesses. A spy will go to the city or to the land and look, what is the weakness here? That's why sometimes people come, it drives me sometimes crazy. People come to Israel on a pilot tour. Just come. Don't worry. The ones who come on pilot tours, they find difficulties. The ones that just comes, everything works out. That's what I see with my own eyes. The ones that just buy a ticket and they come to Israel, and Hashem will make everything work. They find a house, they find a job, everything works out. The ones who are coming, let me choose, and either they don't come, or when they come, I see that they have a lot of difficulties. Just come. Hashem will provide to you. There's more jobs in Israel than anywhere else. There's enough land here. There's enough everything here. So Chas v'Shalom, not to put anybody down, but I see the ones who are touring, they're not coming to really, they're coming to spy, so to say, and then they see things they don't like. Okay, I'm going back to Los Angeles. So my advice always with the ones who come, just come. I bought a ticket. I came here with 6 kids. I didn't think. People tell me, "What are you going to do here?" I don't know. Where are you going to live? In a house. You have a house? Well, there's many houses. I'll find one for sure. I'm not going to be homeless. I am sure. I trust Hashem. And when you come with bitachon, with you trust Hashem, Hashem opens all the opportunities. And I see with my own eyes, the ones who are coming and they're scared and they're trying to prepare, then they have a hard time. But nevertheless, the Torah calls the spies tourists, and Moshe calls them spies. No, because they came to see the weakness of the place and not to see the advantages and the virtues of the place. Okay. Moshe says, "Listen, I know what you're about, but at least if maybe they'll come back and excite everybody, that will cause even a higher morale. They'll go in and hopefully they'll come and say good things." Okay. The journey starts on the 29th day of Sivan, Kaftet B'Sivan, and unfortunately, when do they choose to come back? On Tisha B'Av. So Tisha B'Av is not only because the temple was destroyed, Tisha B'Av, many things happens on Tisha B'Av. So they go for a 40-day journey on the 29th day of Sivan, a week from now, and come on the black day of Tisha B'Av. And what do they come with? Bad news. Don't ask. Don't ask what we saw there.
At that time, Tisha B'Av had already
Of course. Of course Tisha B'Av already had. It was a bad day to start with. From the beginning of history, Tisha B'Av was a bad time. The tablets were broken on Tisha B'Av, even before this sin. Moshe Rabbeinu also, when he came down from the mountain, was Tisha B'Av, the first time. And he broke the tablets. The first set of tablets were broken on Tisha B'Av. A year later, the spies. So Bet HaMikdash got destroyed on Tisha B'Av. That's way after. Nevertheless, these spies come back and they're like, "Sorry to tell you, we have bad news." Now they wanted it to sound a little bit okay. So first of all, they came with They came with good fruit and said, "We have one good news. The fruit is good. You're going to be able to be vegetarians there." So, because Moshe told them, remember, the land, the fruit, the quality of the land, the walled cities, and the people. They come back with good fruit. They said the fruit is good there, but the other two, oy va'avoy, what's waiting for us? You can't even imagine what's waiting for us. And they come and they scare everybody. We saw giants there, giants. We were like ants next to these giants. Okay. The story says that they went to Hebron, and they did. They saw 4 giants there. That's the whole thing. Who are these giants? The Midrash is talking about 3 giants. Their name is Achiman, Sheshai, and Talmai. 3 giants. And you know who are these giants? There are we don't know if it's kids or grandkids, but the survivor of the flood, Og Melech HaBashan. Og Melech HaBashan was a giant. He survived the flood. He was so big, he held the teva, the ark. And he was going with the teva, got a little bit of a dishwasher there, but he survived. There's one opinion says that he actually didn't hold the teva, that he ran to Eretz Israel and there wasn't a flood in Eretz Israel. The flood was all around the world besides in Israel. But nevertheless, these giants, there are 4 giants, these 3 giants that I mentioned, plus their father, they lived in Hebron. That's where they lived. If you remember, another place where we mentioned these giants is when Avraham Avinu went to buy the burial, Marat HaMachpelah, to Sarah. It says, the Torah says he went to Kiryat Arba, to the place of 4. So one interpretation, because there are 4 couples that are buried there. Adam and Chava, Avraham and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, and Yaakov and Leah. But there's another commentary says it's called Kiryat Arba because of the 4 giants that live there. So there are 4 giants. Okay, big deal, 4 giants. That's what you're scared of. Nevertheless, the whole nation now is crying, mourning. What are we going to do? Now, why did you take us out of Mitzrayim? False prophets, false promises. Hashem sees that and he, as we say, loses it. This is what you think? You think I have a problem dealing with a few giants? I just showed you how I destroyed Egypt. I showed you how I opened the sea. You think I have an issue with giants? Hashem can't take it and he punishes the generation even after all the prayers of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the decree is nobody's going into the land of Israel. Comes now a question, how 10 spies can convince 3 million people not to go into Eretz Israel? They don't have WhatsApp, they don't have Facebook groups, they don't have any social media. How are they how they're spreading the word? So the Midrash says that each meragel, each one went into their home. They split into their tribes. And the person would come and start crying. The family members will come and say, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Don't ask. Don't ask. And there are giants there, and it's scary. And everybody's there, the place here, they're eating their own people. We saw funerals all day long. Rashi says that the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to distract the people so they're not going to notice the spies. So a lot of people died that day, as though they were busy with burying their dead, and that way they're distracted. They can't see that there's spies in the land. So they saw a lot of funerals. They're like, oh my gosh, everybody's dying there. What's going on there? A war zone. Nevertheless, so the person is crying and crying. Now the neighbors start hearing, why is he crying? Don't ask. He saw giants. The land is horrible. So they start crying. And then their neighbors like, why are they crying? Don't ask. And becomes, a broken phone game. And before you know it, everybody knows. Don't ask. Monsters. There's monsters there. And it's dangerous. And then before you know it, like Lashon Hara, within 24 minutes, everybody doesn't want to go into the land of Israel. So now we have to understand, of course, we come back to the same question. Hashem punishes them. Okay. Now comes the major question. What really happened there? We want to know what happened there. Now, there's a very simple explanation. This is what's called the pshat, a very simple explanation that the enemy that occupied the land of Israel was stronger than Paro. Paro was one king. You know how many kings were in Israel? 31 kings. So physically, the enemy that they had to go through was much, much stronger than Paro. So they said, okay, Paro, that's one nation, one army, one king. We have here 31 kings, 31 nations. You know what armies there are? So physically, they got scared. Wait a minute, this is too big. How are we going to handle such a thing? But this is the This is the literal explanation here. What Moshe Rabbeinu was telling to Hashem, he tells them, you have to forgive them. Because Hashem says, I don't care. What do you think, I have a problem with 31 kings? I can knock them all out in one shot. But what's the difference for me if it's 1 king, 50 kings, 100 kings? Doesn't matter. I can deal with him at the same time. Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Hashem and says, listen, this is not going to look nice in the media. You know, how is it going to look for your reputation? What, you took them out of Mitzrayim, you crushed Paro, then you're going to kill them here in the desert, or not even let them go in? What is everybody going to say? What, the master of the universe can't handle a few kings? He was strong against Paro, but the other kings he can't handle? Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to manipulate here and saying to Hashem, listen, it's not going to look good, so good for us. We're going to lose likes on our Facebook page. It's not going to look so good. Anyways, this is what the spies were saying. This is too much. We're not going to be able to fight it. That was their argument. Okay, so this is the literal explanation, which of course the argument is Hashem says, I have a problem with people, I can do whatever I want. Comes here a more deeper way of looking at it. This is more taught in a Hasidic philosophy type of a way of explaining. Imagine how a kid now wakes up in the morning and he tells to his mom, Mom, I have a headache. Okay, the mom says, okay, no problem, honey, stay home, you don't have to go to school today. And he stays home. The next day, the boy wakes up and says, Mommy, I have a stomach ache. Okay, the mom says, okay, no problem, honey, stay home. The third day, when the boy wakes up and says, I have a back pain, now the mom is like, what's going on? The first day you had a headache. The second day you have a stomach ache. Now you have a backache. You don't have any pain. And she's like, what's going on? Somebody bullying you in school? Are you failing in class? What's going on in school that you don't want to go? You're just saying you have pain, but something more deep is bothering you. This is the hunch of a woman. Has to be a reason or some type of fear. Why would the child not want to go to school? Now, the same thing was happening to the spies. They had some type of a fear. Obviously, there has to be a reason here. If you're really dissecting it right now, okay, what, you're afraid of some kings, you're afraid of some giants, but don't you know that Hashem can do whatever He wants? Obviously, there was something more deeper there that bothered them. It wasn't the giants, it wasn't the wars, it was just excuses, all these things. They had a fear. Now, to explain it a little bit more in depth, I will share a quick story that I heard, and then we'll try to analyze what's going on here. And I heard the story about a certain individual who was a diamond dealer, specifically in a certain country. I'm not going to give too many details, not to chas v'shalom expose somebody that doesn't want to be exposed, but a certain country that is known to have a lot of diamond dealing there. And this specific individual was a diamond dealer. And he made a decision in his life that he wants to observe Shabbat. Okay. Now, it's not so easy. Some businesses are very hard to close on Shabbat. But he made a decision, no business on Shabbat. Okay. Now, after a while, comes the 12th month of the calendar year, comes the holiday of the Gentiles. And this is when you make money all year long. They're all waiting to buy jewelry to their wife, to their mother, to their fiance, whatever it is. This is the time to make money. And this is the time when sometimes you make money not for the whole year, for 5 years. One holiday. 1 year this holiday falls on Shabbat. What am I going to do now? He doesn't know what to do. He says, I'm going to have a huge loss here. This is the time when I make money. And of course he had a store with all the jewelry. And it was like in New York, you have 47th Street, all the diamonds, all the jewelry. It was a street like that, all the jewelry stores, and he doesn't know what to do. What, am I going to close the store now on Shabbat? It's their holiday. This is where I'm going to make now money for 3 years. He says Shabbat is more important. I am going to observe the Shabbat, no problem. He's open on Friday morning. Comes to afternoon, time to close the store. He sees all his competitors, his friends, half of them are Jews. And he's like, Okay, he ignores, he closed the store, and he goes home. And he comes home, prepares for Shabbat, and he doesn't know what to do. He can't handle it. The whole night he's like, I can't believe it. He's going crazy. Comes the morning, he goes and prays in the morning, and he can't really pray. His mind is driving him nuts. And his Yetzer Hara says, do something here. He's like, no, he's fighting it. Finally, the Yetzer Hara convinces him, just go and see what's going on. Just that you have an idea. Maybe it's not so good this year. He goes down to the street, doesn't even go to pray. He goes down to the street and he sees there, all his competitors, all the stores, all his friends are selling and money flying everywhere, and he is about to explode. He runs home. He didn't even go to pray. He comes home, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a true story. I'm not making it up. He comes home, his wife thinks he came back from shul. He runs to the liquor cabinet, he takes out a bottle of alcohol, takes a cup, and he does kiddush on a full cup of whatever alcohol it was, and it knocks him out, and he sleeps for the rest of the Shabbat.
Did he take the car to see the street?
Yeah, no, he walked there. No, he didn't break the Shabbat.
Okay.
He walked to see what's going on. He was about to explode. He comes home, he drinks the whole cup, and it knocks him out. He wakes up after Shabbat. Baruch Hashem, he survived. He didn't observe the Shabbat. He didn't break the Shabbat. He comes the next day to his rabbi and tells him, I have to confess. I need a tikkun. I need something to rectify what I did. I didn't do Sudat Shabbat. I didn't pray. I didn't pray not Shacharit. I didn't listen to the Torah. I didn't pray Musaf. I didn't pray Mincha. I didn't do Sudat Shlishit. I didn't do nothing. I slept. And I need a tikkun. And of course, the rabbi was like, what are you talking about? Any other normal person will throw everything away and open the store within a second. Okay, so you missed the prayer, you missed the Suda. Nevertheless, what is this point of this story? Forget about right now what was the result, what the rabbi told him. What's the point of the story? The point of the story is that we have a lot of good desires, good thoughts, good wills. We have a lot of good intentions, let's put it this way. How many times, I'm sure it happened to you at least once or twice or 500 times, especially on Rosh Hashanah, you get hyped up. Then comes Yom Kippur, you're even more hyped up. Then Sukkot, you're already flying. Some of you saying this year, I'm going to be Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai this year, what I'm going to do this year. No more lying, no more Lashon Hara, I'm doing this, 5 hours a day Torah, I'm doing this, I'm praying 7 times a day. I'm turning the whole world around. A week passes, no, nothing. Everything you decided to do, stayed, how you say, gone with the wind, and you're back to square one, nothing happened. And how many times you go to a lecture, you go to a Shabbaton, you get all excited, that's it, I'm now going to be on fire. And it lasts 3.5 minutes, and then you're back to square one. So we all have a lot of good intentions, we have a lot of excitement, and we want to do good, but we all have a very strong enemy. We all have it. And this enemy is called Parnasa, money. And it's a big enemy. And we all share it, by the way. And believe it or not, that's what scared the spies. Money. Parnasa, my livelihood. My livelihood. And they were like, listen, in the desert, everything is free. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have a phone bill. I don't have an electricity bill. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have a car rental. I don't have anything. I don't have a credit card. Can you imagine living like that? Worry-free, no worries, no nothing, just sit and learn Torah. Every person in this world, maybe 1 out of 1,000,000, doesn't have worries of Parnasah. Once in a blue moon, somebody will inherit some money, and it would last for 10 years, and they don't worry about money. Most people, they have a worry about money. And even if you have money coming in, you still worry. How am I going to pay the next payment? How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that? And my kids and my this and that. All day long, this is bothering our mind. And that's what bothered the spies. Now, they said, in the land of Israel, no miracles. There's no man there. There's no washing machines while we're wearing our clothes. We are going to have to start working. Are you insane? You wanted me to find a job? There is a verse in the book of Mishlei, Proverbs, that Shlomo HaMelech says, Oved admato isbalachem. A person who works on his land will be full and satisfied from bread. But why does it say the word Oved? I should say many other words rather than the word Oved. Because Oved comes from the root. The root of the word Oved is Eved. Eved is a slave. And in order to bring some bread out of the land, you have to be a slave to the land. If you are a business owner, you think you can go on a vacation so easy? Who's going to take care of the business? What, your partner that you are afraid is going to steal you? But when you have a business, if you have a job, you're saying, okay, I deserve a few days off. But when you have a business, no vacations. How are you going to vacation when you have a business? And when you, not only that, when you have a business, you are a slave to the business. You work from, in Hebrew we say, mitzet hachama, tzet anshama. From when the sun goes out till your soul goes out. So, the land, the job is running our life. And even if I don't own a business, most people don't own businesses, but nevertheless, my job runs my life. How many times you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm not going to the work today? And the boss tells you, if you're not showing up today, you can come and take your stuff and go find yourself a different job. So really, when you're thinking of it, our jobs are running our life. I believe that 99% of the population of the world, they can't stand their jobs. To actually have a job you like, what a present that is, what a blessing it is. Most people can't stand their jobs. They can't stand their boss, they can't stand the environment, they can't stand the actual job. So first of all, we have to understand that what bothered them is the worry about money. Now, they presented it that they had a worry about giants. So, let's try to explain why the Torah is telling us about giants. So there's one commentary explained by the Ramban, and he says, yeah, there were giants there. There were these 4 giants that I told you, Achimam, Sheshai, and Talmai. And there were the kids or the grandkids of Og, the king of Bashan, Melech HaBashan, and they survived the Mabul. Obviously, before the Mabul, there were giants. And these are the ones who survived. Anyways, we know it says in the Torah, "V'nefilim hayu ba'aretz." There were giants before the flood. So Rashi explains something a little bit interesting, and Rashi usually doesn't go into more mystical things. Rashi is very simple to the point. Rashi says that there were Nephilim. Nephilim are these giants, but what are these giants? These giants, Rashi says that they saw were 2 angels. One of them was called Shamchazai, and one of them was called Azael. 2 angels. And these angels, they came down to the world in the generation of Enosh. Now, some say that the angel's name is not Shamchazai, rather Uzzah. There's different opinions. But nevertheless, the spies, they said, we saw angels there. These 2 angels. And these are not some angels. These are Malachei Kabbalah. Destructive angels. Very, very scary angels. And before the Mabul, if you remember, everybody was sitting there. It was like Las Vegas. And it was a whole big party. And Hashem says, I'm going to destroy this planet. Came to Hashem 2 angels, these Shamchazai and Azael. And like I said, some call the first angel Uzzah, because I mentioned them a couple times. And in some places they're called Uzzah and Azael, and some places called Shamchazai and Azael. Nevertheless, they came to Hashem and they said, we'll go down and we'll take care of business. We'll supervise what's going on there. Hashem says, if the humans can't hold this lust, why would you hold the lust? Why would you be able to hold yourself? So they said, we're angels. What's the big problem? The humans, they can't control their desires and their lusts. We're angels. So these two angels came down to the world, and like the Torah says, they liked the women, and they went and sinned with the women. And they quit, so to say. They gave their wings. We don't want to be angels anymore. They liked the ladies, and they stayed there. And they brought this impurity of the forbidden relations into the world. All the lust and the desire and all this filth, and especially everything that has to do with forbidden relations, is because of these two angels. And they brought this. These are the klipa for arayot. Arayot is forbidden relations. Now, the story says that Hashem took Azael and he threw him off a mountain. And this is this mountain that on Yom Kippur we take the goat and we throw the goat. Where do we throw the goat? La'azazel. Sa'ir La'azazel. Is going to Azael. This is where Hashem threw this angel. And the other one, Shamchazai or Uzzah, he became the angel that brings all the lust and the forbidden desire and all these disgusting behavior for forbidden relations. This is the angel that it comes from.
And
this,
creatures.
excuse me?
And creatures that exist up to today.
Exactly. Yeah, of course. But this is because of this angel. This is the angel that brings this disgust, this impurity in all the forbidden relations, the lust, and so forth, what causes men and women to sin. And we can't kid anybody. Then 99.9% of the population of the earth is controlled by this angel. But nevertheless, the spies said, we met these two angels. These are the giants that we met. Now why would Rashi bring such a thing? Rashi is coming to explain the pshat, the literal explanation. Rashi is not coming to tell me now about Malachi Kabbalah, about destructive angels and all these things. Rashi wanted to hint about the problem. And Rashi sometimes, believe it or not, he goes a little bit out of his character trait. Rashi wanted to hint here that he wanted to say, look at that. The spies wanted to say, look at that. The land is so hard, even the angels sin there. Why would you want to go into this land? This is a land that has a strong lust and forbidden desires. The angels even fail there. We? Of course we're going to fail there. It's a dangerous place to go to. And what is he saying in other words? When a person is not sitting and learning Torah all day long, what does he have to do? He has to worry about Parnasah. Once you go out to the world to deal with Parnasah, all your good intentions, all your dreams, they disappear. Take a man now on Rosh Hashanah, takes on himself all these good decisions, then come Yom Kippur and he does tshuva, then comes Sukkot, he's in the realm of Atzilut the whole week. Suddenly next week he has to go back to work. Now you go back to work, suddenly you have to deal with people, and now all the temptations of the world is out there. When you're sitting and learning Torah all day long, then your mind is in the book. No big deal. But once you go out to the world, now you're going to be, all the temptations are out there. And the spies were saying, this is a dangerous land. Look at that, even the angels sin there. What are going to happen to us? Of course we're going to sin there. And nevertheless, all these good intentions are worthless now. But that was not the meaning and the intention of Hashem to take us into the land. Hashem says, I'm going to take you into the land, and I'm going to give you the land. I'm also going to give you the power to sustain there. I think Hashem is going to lead us into a trap. Hashem says, I'm going to take you into the land, and I'm going to give you the tools and the ability to deal with the land. I'm going to give you all the tools to fulfill your mission. Now, when Yoshua and Caleb, the two spies that didn't fall for that, they answered back the angels. Im chafetz banu Hashem ve'hivi otanu la'aretz. Hashem wants to bring us into the land. What, he's going to pull us into a trap? Of course he's going to, if he's bringing us into the land, he's going to give us all the tools to be able to deal with it. Now, to understand that again, what the Torah is trying to tell me, I'll tell you another story. And again, not to say too many details, maybe we'll say who the person is. But again, another true story about a very, very, very wealthy businessman that was traveling, and again, not to take too many details, he was traveling to a certain country. And many people, what they do is they go to different countries, they go to the holy graves. Some people will go to the Ukraine, to the Baal Shem Tov, to the Rabbi Nachman from Breslev, and Levi Yitzchak from Berditchev, and some people, they go to different places, they want to go to the grave of a tzaddik. Anyways, this individual went with his rabbi to one of these sites. He got very, very inspired. As they're going out, he tells his rabbi, I got so inspired because of this visit, I decided to take on myself to start praying Mincha. Now this is not an observant individual. He's not an individual that keeps the Torah and observes the Torah, but he decided to pray Mincha. Okay. From the gravesite, they drove straight to the airport, and there wasn't any time. It was traffic, whatever. So once they got to the airport, there wasn't time to pray there. Right away, check-in and running and this and that, and he didn't have time to pray the Mincha. He made a decision to pray Mincha. And they're rushing through the gate and right away into the plane. And then he gets on the plane, and they're getting close to the end of the plane. He was about to start praying Mincha, and he's like, I can't pray now. I mean, they say, sir, you got to sit, you got to put your seatbelt on. Okay, so he sits and he puts his seatbelt on. He's like, okay, well, now I have to, you can't just get up. You have to wait for the airplane to reach to a certain altitude. And he's so tired because of this journey. He didn't sleep for like 3 days, and he's like, he's like, I gotta stay up, I gotta pray Mincha. I made a decision to pray Mincha, and his eyes are closing, and he's like literally falling asleep. And it takes about half an hour before the plane gets to an altitude. Finally, he fights the tired, and he's determined to pray Mincha. Now the plane is reached to altitude. He takes his seatbelt up, and he comes to stand up, and he says, how am I going to pray now in front of the entire plane? Some people, they have no problem. Some people, in front of a plane, I'm going to, when I first became observant, I would fly. I was like, I'm going to put tefillin now in front of 500 people here. And it's so some people, it's embarrassing, it's uncomfortable. The person is not even observant. He's like, I'm going to stand now in the middle of the plane and start praying Mincha? He says, okay, whatever, my decision is firm, I'm praying Mincha. And the whole time that he's praying, he was in the front part of the plane. He's like, the whole time I feel 500 eyes are looking at me. What is this man doing? He's not even observant. He doesn't even look observant. Why is he standing now? Why is he moving like this? The whole prayer, he couldn't even focus on the prayer. He was just standing there mumbling some words. Needless to say that it was one of the first time he prayed Mincha. I wasn't so knowledgeable with the words, and it was the worst Mincha in history. Okay, that's at least what he thought. Anyways, he comes to his rabbi and he tells him, listen, he tells him the whole story. And I'm telling you the short version of the story. He tells the whole struggle, how he couldn't find and this and that, and he comes with all the details. And he finds the rabbi crying. He says, why are you crying? He says, I've been praying Mincha since I'm 3 years old. And I never, ever had to give for a Mincha what you just gave. For me, it's just coming like that. You went through such a struggle just to stand there and pray. I never even prayed like you. And the rabbi started crying. Now, why specifically this story is emphasizing what I want to give over is that Tfilat Mincha is a very unique prayer. Shacharit and Arvit are pretty obvious. We call the Tfilat Shacharit because it's in the morning, Shachar. And Tfilat Arvit because it's in the Erev, it's in the night. It's very simple. But Mincha, what's Mincha? Now Mincha, there is a commentary, but a commentator called Abu Dram, and he says it's called Mincha because that's when the sun Nacha, the Shemesh Nacha, the sun is in the middle of the sky, so it's not going up and it's not going down. It's when the sun rests. And also, that's when people take their siesta. Everybody here in Israel, once when I was a kid, now it's not so much. Once when I was a kid, 2 to 4, the whole country is dead. No, nobody to talk to. And if you sneeze in the street, shh, 2:4. So Nevertheless, so this is just a commentary, but really what's Mincha? Mincha is a present. And it's a present that I give Hashem. But it's a very unique present. Because if you're looking at the prayer, it's in the middle of the day. It's not a comfortable prayer. In the beginning of the day, Shacharit, fine. It's close to the morning, you go pray Shacharit. In the evening, you're already home. Mincha? In the middle of the day to stop your business? Now if you're really working, you know what it is to just get up in the middle of the day? Or whatever it is, it's a very difficult prayer to do in the middle of the day. And usually Mincha will turn out in the middle of something. It's not going to fall in a comfortable place. It's always going to be in the middle of a highway, in the middle of a meeting. How many times you drive here in Israel, you see people on the highway, standing in the middle of the highway. Not too long ago, I was driving with somebody, and somebody passed us. I think he was driving like 160 kilometers an hour, and everybody's like, look at this nutcase. So somebody in the car wanted to be kind and lamed zchut, and says, he's probably in rush for Mincha. So Mincha usually will fall in the middle of the most inappropriate time that I have to suddenly leave everything and pray. Now also, when this is in regards to the prayer, but when you're looking at the actual offering, Mincha was a very simple offering. It was just a little bit of flour and some oil and salt. That's it. It wasn't like a $1,000 bull. Can you imagine that you have to bring an offering, you have to buy a bull? I don't even know how much a bull costs. Maybe $5,000. I have no idea how much a bull costs. But can you imagine what an expense? Here, the Mincha was an offering for poor people. They just came with a little bit of flour and some oil or whatever it was. Nevertheless, it says in the script, Nafshi ki takriv, nefesh ki takriv. The sacrifice, nefesh is a soul, and ki takriv will sacrifice. Rashi says that the sacrifice, usually the poor people will give the sacrifice of Mincha. Rashi says when the poor person gives a little bit of spelt, a little bit of flour, it's for him like giving his soul. That's his meal. That's his, can be his meal for the rest of the week. So the poor person that gives the Mincha, it literally gives his soul. And this is, for the poor person, it's huge. You know what it is for a poor person to give a little bit of his food? And this was exactly the answer for the spies, is this Mincha. The spies, before the spies, it says in the Talmud, and specifically in the tractate Brachot, in page 6, it says that a person should constantly be, I'll tell it in Hebrew and then I'll translate it, L'olam yeh adam zahir betfilat mincha. A person should always be very cautious with tfilat mincha. Why? Lo ne'ena Eliyahu ben ela b'mincha. Eliyahu Navi his requests were always fulfilled in the time of mincha. If you need a certain prayer to squeeze it in to Hashem, pray mincha. Because the Talmud says tfilat mincha is a very auspicious time. And Eliyahu Navi, every time that he wanted something to happen, he would pray, he will ask for it at the time of tfilat mincha. Now the words in Hebrew, L'olam yeh adam zahir betfilat mincha. If you're translating it so it will make sense, you would say a person should always be cautious, or always be careful, or particular to make sure that you're never missing tfilat mincha. But zahir comes from a different word of the root of Zohar, of to shine and to light. And when the Talmud says, L'olam yeh adam zahir betfilat mincha, just that you know that in tfilat mincha you shine the most. Yes, zahir is very cautious that you're not going to miss it because it's a very powerful prayer. But to look at it in a more deeper way, zahir comes from the word Zohar, that dafa in tfilat mincha is when you shine the most. You want to get the best of all the prayers, make sure you pray mincha. A lot of women think that they're exempt from praying. I don't know who says that, and many people do say, oh no, women don't have to pray. It's not true. Women have to pray at least one prayer a day. And the women that follow the ruling of Ashkenaz have to pray twice a day. This is pretty obvious in halakha. It's not a custom, it's not a chumrah, it's a halakha. Women have to pray. So a lot of women says, listen, I have kids, I have this, I also have kids. So what? I still pray 3 times a day. But not to put any pressure on anybody, but at least you want to make sure you're praying once a day. So if shacharit is very hard for you because it's long, then at least pray one of the two, mincha or arvit. And really there's no excuses. I can't believe any person can have excuses. Very busy people pray every day. And you'll find the 10 minutes to pray Mincha. It takes exactly 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So you know what, you'll be 15 minutes less on Facebook. You can be on Facebook for 2 hours, so cut it down to an hour and a half and pray Mincha or Arvit. And many women that they come and ask me, which prayer should I pray? I tell them, try if you can. The highest priority is Mincha. So, and why? Because what the Talmud says that this is the time when you shine the most. This is the most auspicious time. Now, just to say one more story, a very quick story, and then to get to our point. And this is a story that I heard a long, long time ago about a certain Chabad rabbi that was sent many, many years ago by the Lubavitcher Rebbe to a city called Minneapolis. And he came up there. His name is Velvel Green, Rabbi Velvel Green. And I heard the story from somebody, like a first hand. And when he came there, he was trying to build the communities, establish the shul, whatever he was trying to do there. And every person that he went to and asking for assistance, they all told him, go to this guy, Velvel Green. It's not the name of the rabbi. What did I say? The rabbi, that wasn't his name. The person that everybody told him to go to was a certain individual. His name was Velvel Green. He happened to be a professor that worked in NASA or one of some government agency, but it was a very wise individual. But he had control over the whole city. Everybody was under his word. Anyways, the rabbi tried to get an appointment with him. He calls the secretary. The secretary says, "What do you want? You want $18? I'll send you a check." Well, he's like, "No, I'm not interested in a donation. I just want to see the professor." She books for him an appointment. He has to wait half a year. Finally, he comes to the appointment. He starts talking with the professor. They're talking. The guy's a very intelligent guy. They're backwards and forth, and they're not necessarily seeing eye to eye. But nevertheless, at some point, it was time for Tfilat Mincha. He was looking at the clock. It's already time to pray Mincha. The professor, Velvet Green, tells him he had to take a phone call. He tells him, "Give me a few minutes, I need to take this call." He turns around with his phone call. The rabbi gets up, goes to the end of the corner of the room and starts praying Mincha. The professor gets off the phone, turns around, and he's like, "Well, hello? The guy's in the corner of the room praying Mincha." Needless to say, the meeting was over. "Thank you so much, everything I understood," and he sends him off. Wasn't a successful meeting at all. But, first of all, after the fact, that night, the professor went home and he told his wife, "You know those rabbis that you hear about in the fairy tales? I've met one of them today." He stopped the meeting in the middle of the meeting. He totally disregarded me, and he went to pray to his God. But nevertheless, this professor, with time, became very, very observant, and he now lives in Beersheba. He's a very observant man. I think he works there, probably in the atomic reactor in Dimona. But anyway, he works some government office, but nevertheless, he became observant. And he says what caused that is the fact that this man, this rabbi, could care less about me, about my position, about my power. He stopped everything and he prayed Mincha because it was time to pray to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So with all that said, what really was happening there with the spies? They did not want to get distracted. They were like, we want to learn Torah. We want to have our mind in the book. We don't want to have our mind filth and disgusting with all the temptation of what this world has to offer. They were afraid. They came from a good place. They were like, listen, we don't want to go into the land of Israel. We want to learn Torah. We want to keep our mind pure. Once we go into Eretz Israel, we're going to have to start worrying about jobs and work and money and bills, and we're not going to learn Torah. And more than that, what am I going to be thinking all day long? You think I'm going to be thinking about the Torah? I'm going to be thinking about the woman I saw in the market. I'm going to thinking about this. I'm going to be thinking about that. Excuse my language. But our mind is going to be occupied with all this junk all day long. And they didn't want to. But the two individuals that went against the spies, Caleb and Yoshua, they said, no, if Hashem is already bringing us into the land, He's giving us all the tools to deal with it. And really, this is the message of this story of this parasha. Hashem puts us in the land with all the temptations and all the struggles and all the things that will completely confuse me. But Hashem says, but that's what I want you to do. I want you to fight that. I want you to overpower all these thoughts. Just on Friday, somebody came to me and he told me, listen, I can't deal with people. I just can't deal with people. I wish to go to some faraway place just to learn Torah all day long. And I told him, I'm sorry to tell you, but I feel the same thing too. I also don't feel like dealing with everybody. If it was up to me, I would pack my bags, pack my books, go to some faraway moshav, and sit and learn the Torah all day long. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with anybody. But this is not what Hashem wants. Hashem doesn't want you to live on an island. Hashem wants you to be involved with people. And you know what? He's going to make sure that He's sending you all the right people to annoy you, to aggravate you, to piss you off, to make you jealous, to make you annoyed, to step on your toes, to step on your ego. But that's what Hashem wants. If Hashem would want us to be on deserted islands, He would create many, many islands, and we would be sitting on the islands and waving to each other. But that's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants us to deal with this world. Hashem wants us to deal with Parnasah. Some people say, you know, if I had a lot of money, I would learn Torah all day long. What kind of a statement is that? These are two questions that I hate the most. Why and what if? Why, you'll never get an answer. And what if? What kind of a question is that? What if? If I had money, I would study Torah all day long. Well, you don't have money. You're not going to study Torah now. So Hashem says, let's see if you study Torah without the money. Let's see you have pure thoughts without the comfort zone that you wish to be in. Let's see you do that. And that's the whole purpose of going into Eretz Israel. It's not to be cushioned. It's not to have food catered to us. Hashem says, I want you to live in struggle. I want you to overpower the struggle. I want you to push away all these thoughts that trouble you. I want you to build your trust in me and your emunah and your belief that I will give you whatever you want. You just do your minimum. I will do the rest. And the spies, they didn't trust that. They're like, no, we're going to fail. They came and manipulated everything. They weren't afraid of the giants. The same analogy of the kid. They had an agenda. They had something in the back of their mind. They had a fear. And their fear was to be away from the Torah and away from Hashem. And what we need to take from that, we also struggle with the same thing. We also say, hey, I don't want to sin. I want to learn Torah all day long. But I have to go find a job. And I have to work. And I have to interact with people. And you know what? That person is going to pull me into an argument. And that person is going to start talking Lashon Hara about that person. And that person is going to pull me into a disagreement. But Hashem says, but that's what I want you to deal with. I want you to take the Torah. Now I want you to take the struggles and then put them together and now overpower these struggles. And that's the point of Eretz Israel, is to go above our ability. That's why it says, first of all, it doesn't say in the Torah Eretz Israel, by the way. It says Eretz Canaan. Why Canaan? Because when I need to overpower something, I need to subdue it. And this is called in Hebrew lehachnia, hachna'ah. And Canaan has the same root of hachna'ah. It's the land where you actually apply this power of subduing something. And that's the whole point. This is why we came down to this world. When they asked Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai why they came down to, what's our purpose here? He says, Litkafya sidracha, is to subdue the sidracha, the other side of holiness. And what would be the result? Lithapcha chashocha lenora, to transform the darkness into light. So this is our purpose. Our purpose is to go into the land of Israel, to the land of Canaan, to know how to lehachnia, to overpower and to subdue the Eretz. It says Eretz Canaan. Eretz represents the artziut, the physicality. Is to go and to overpower the physicality and to subdue my desires, my thoughts, my will, and so forth, and to, with all the struggles, still learn the Torah and perform the mitzvot, and to do what Hashem wants. So the Torah comes to teach me, yes, you are going to be living in struggles and a lot of challenges, specifically with money, but we're taking the example here of the Tfilat Mincha, the prayer of Mincha is coming to signify that when it's time to put my mind to Hashem, everything is being removed. The business deals, everything has to be removed. And that's exactly what I need to take from that, is that yes, there are going to be many challenges and difficulties, but when it's time to pray, when it's time to learn, when it's time to do a mitzvah, then I do the mitzvah and I do what the Torah says, and Hashem will take care of the rest, and Hashem will give me the power to overpower all my difficulties. And when it's time to pray Mincha, how many excuses do you come with? Oh, I have to feed the kids, I have to go shopping, I have to do this, I have to... Hashem says, no, Dafka now, take the 10 minutes, ignore the world, sit quietly and pray, I'll take care of everything. So I'll just finish with one short story, that it's on the same topic that a few days ago was Shabbat. We learn here every morning, all the men, and one of the men told me right after the prayer, which was only 8:30 in the morning, I got to go home, I'm missing the class, I have to miss the classes. I told him, why? We're only learning for 2 hours. So he says, no, I have so much errands to do before Shabbat. I have to take care of all the errands to Shabbat, and I need this time. And I told him, I guarantee to you that if you sit and learn with us this 1 hour, it was actually 1 hour, not 2 hours, your errands are going to go like that, and you are going to be ready for Shabbat way before you were expected. And if you don't sit with us, you're going to come to Shabbat a minute before candlelighting, and the errands, every store you're going to go, there's going to be lines. Everything you want to do is not going to work out, only because you didn't stay and learn with us. And he's like, okay, you convinced me. He came here on Mincha before Shabbat, and he told me it worked. I actually finished everything so fast, I took a nap, and then when I woke up, I was convinced Shabbat comes in at 6, and it came in at 7. I gained another hour. So I said, you see, 1 hour of sitting and learning Torah. And I'm sure he was like this, oh my God, I have to go to the bank, I have to go to this, I have to go to there. I told him, calm your mind, just learn the Torah, 1 hour. I guarantee to you, Hashem is going to make everything go fast. And not only that, like he said, I took a nap, everything went smooth. So we need to know when to apply the time for Hashem, and Hashem says, I'll take care of everything. You think I have a problem to making the line in the bank go for 2 minutes? Everybody complains that they go to Bituach Leumi, they sit there for 3 hours. I had to take care of something in Bituach Leumi a few weeks ago. I walked in, walked out. Everybody's like, how did you do it? I said, because I learned Torah 4 hours before that. And I didn't rush to go to Bituach Leumi. So Hashem says, okay, I will make the line go very fast. And the specific person that you need will sit there waiting for you. And everything will go chick, 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 chick. So what we have to apply from that is that we do have to go and conquer the land of Canaan, to conquer our desires, conquer our thoughts, conquer our challenges. And this is what Hashem wants. And we should not have the problem of the spies, of being afraid that I'm going to fail, or that I'm not going to make it. If Hashem put a challenge in front of me, Hashem is going to give me the tools how to overpower this challenge.